Hey guys, so hopefully you have seen that the Trader Joe's Kimbap, the frozen variety, has basically taken America by storm. And I wanted to do a little review video of the Kimbap. I'm gonna try it and I'm going to share my thoughts. So bad news, the Trader Joe's is all out of the frozen kimbap. And guess what? It is so popular that they won't be in stock again for another month at least not until October. Apparently there are some production delays. They just did not anticipate it being so popular. So obviously super bummed that I will not be able to try the Trader Joe's kimbap. As a result, I have been inspired to just make a lot of kimbap, my own kimbap. So let's go shopping. I'm gonna start by making the most popular kind of kimbap. This is the kind of kimbap I used to eat a lot when I was growing up, particularly on road trips. We never got to go to McDonald's or fast food or Burger King when we went on road trips. Nope. My grandma would literally fill an entire icer with just lots and lots and lots of kimbap. This is also the version that you're going to find at Trader Joe's, hopefully in a month and a half. It's basically made with some tofu, spinach, carrots, burdock root, and dongchimi, which is also pickled radish. We're just gonna blanch that spinach. Look at all that spinach turns into one tiny little bit of spinach. And we're gonna season that with a little bit of sesame oil, a little bit of soy sauce, and black pepper. We're gonna stir fry the Julienne carrots in a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and sesame oil, salt and pepper. It doesn't look like the Trader Joe's version has any egg in it, but the traditional kimbap definitely has gyerranmari, which is the Korean omelet in it. So I'm just gonna use some JUSTEgg and make a quick gyerranmari. I'm gonna make a second omelet for a different, more ambitious kimbap that I'm also going to try and make. A lot of people ask me, what is the difference between kimbap and sushi or Japanese maki? And one of the differences is the rice. It's seasoned with sesame oil, salt, and pepper instead of vinegar and sugar. We're also gonna add some pickled burdock root, which is what I noticed the Trader Joe's version has. I don't always see these in the most popular kimbap, but I do love pickled burdock root, so I'm glad that the Trader Joe's version has that. We're also gonna add danmuji or daikon. Usually, again, the popular kimbaps have the yellow one, which is treated with some food coloring, but I noticed that the Trader Joe's one goes with the undyed version. These are pickled and sweetened daikon radish. They're so yummy. Normally the kimbap that we ate growing up was filled with meat or spam. I guess you could call spam meat, but the Trader Joe version uses baked tofu, so I'm gonna go with the same thing. I'm using a teriyaki flavored baked tofu. It's one of my favorite products to pick up at the grocery store to kind of cut down on the cooking time. Now that I finished preparing all the ingredients for the more popular kimbap, I wanted to work on more creative kimbap. Number one is a katsu kimbap. I don't know about you, but I've been obsessed with moving the new Korean drama on Hulu, and in it, some of the main characters are eating lots of tonkatsu. So I'm gonna make my tofu katsu and use that to make kimbap. I didn't want to spend too much time over the stovetop, so I decided to try baking these katsu sticks, if you will, in the oven. And look, they turned out okay, but I'm going to tell you right now, it would be way better if you stuck them in an air fryer or if you did the thing and just deep fried them. Pretty good. I've basically finished prepping all of my items for all the different kinds of kimbap I had in mind. You can see this is gonna be a big job. All right, so I'm gonna try and walk you through how to roll the traditional kimbap. You're gonna start with a bamboo mat. If you don't have one, you can use foil. The nori should be shiny side down, which means the rough side is facing you, and then you add your rice about, I would say, 80% of the way to the top. Add your fillings to the center of the rice, which is going to be the baked tofu, some of that danmuji, good amount of carrots, because you definitely want the carrots, that beautiful orange color, to come through when you cut into the kimbap. Some of that seasoned spinach, the pickled burdock root, and the Julienne gyerranmari, and I'm going to be very generous because that's the best part. It tastes so good. To roll the kimbap, you're going to pick up the bottom of the bamboo and you're going to roll the whole thing over to the top until the bottom of the rice is going to meet the top of the rice. You're going to give that a good squeeze, and then you're going to take that bamboo sheet and you're going to pull it forward, and you're going to pull the roll forward as well. Repeat that sequence: roll, squeeze, pull forward until you have a completely rolled kimbap, like this one. Okay, so now that I have a traditional kimbap out of the way, I'm gonna try something a little bit more ambitious. I'm covering the entire sheet with rice as well as 2 perilla leaves, actually 4 perilla leaves. It's at this point I realized the flaw in my design. I need some glue, as my dad would call it. He always calls the rice the glue. So I peel back some of the perilla leaves so that there's some open space with the rice so that the other side of the nori can meet that side and get glued together. For the katsu kimbap, I'm going to add the regular amount of rice, 2 katsu sticks along with some red and green cabbage. Green cabbage is usually what's served with katsu. If you watched Moving, then you know what I mean. I'm also going to make a katsu sauce to go with this later. This is my last more creative kimbap. I'm gonna add the same level of rice, but it's gonna be really thin. And then I'm gonna add half the gyerranmari that I made the second time around. And then I'm gonna add another layer of rice. Here I'm using some brown rice. Again, very, very thin. I'm gonna add some perilla leaves. Again, I've run out of glue, so I'm gonna pull back on the perilla leaves, which are getting in the way, and there we go, we have our glue to seal the kimbap. As I mentioned earlier, katsu is typically served with some sauce. Mine's gonna start with a little bit of ketchup and some gochujang just to make it really spicy and delicious. Oh, that gochujang looks so good. I'm adding some soy sauce for umami, a little bit of Dijon mustard for that like luxe kind of horseradishy flavor. For a little sweetness, I'm going to add some maple syrup. You can also add brown rice syrup or even just sugar. Those look so good. Final step before eating. This is something my mom taught me. You're going to add some sesame oil over the top of each roll, and then you're going to brush them on. This seems like it's not going to make a difference, but it makes a humongous difference in the taste of your kimbap, so do not skip this step. Obviously, I've made enough kimbap to feed a palace. I'm not going to be able to eat this all by myself, and kimbap is really meant to be eaten as soon as you make it. The longer you wait to eat it, the less good it tastes. The answer, of course, is to share the kimbap that you've made, especially if they're sold out all over the country, like this one is. And honestly, because kimbap is sort of a labor-intensive dish, as you've seen, it's definitely something that you make for people you love. But the last time I shared kimbap with people, it did not go so well. I was in creative writing in college, and my creative writing professor suggested that each student pick one day out of the semester to bring food for the rest of the class. Everyone else brought bagels and donuts and muffins, but I really wanted to bring something special, something that showed off my culture and my heritage. So I saved up all my leftover change and I went to the local Korean restaurant and I had the ajumma make me a whole big batch of kimbap to share with all of the rest of the class. It was still hot when I brought it into the classroom. I remember I could feel how hot that styrofoam was in my hands, and I walked all the way over from the restaurant to campus, and I was so excited to share this with my classroom and with my professor. But before I could even open the styrofoam to show everyone what it was, I heard someone say behind me, "Ugh." And at first I thought I must have just heard something wrong, but I turned around and I found the guy who made the noise, and I looked at him and I said, "What?" And he covers his face, actually he covers his nose, and he goes, "Nothing. God, the smell." And I can't even imagine what my face would have looked like when I heard that, but I could feel it. I could feel that smile that I had walked into class with just completely evaporate. I know that seems really, really small, but I gotta tell you, I don't think I shared Korean food with a single non-Korean person after that for a very, very long time. It is thus very surreal that Trader Joe's is sold out of kimbap. So, here it is. Well, I'm not gonna eat all of this kimbap by myself. I decided to brave the waters once more, and I'm going to bring this entire platter to my friend's house to see if they'll like it.
What have we got there?
Yeah, kimbap for my friends.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll go better than last time. Hi! Hello! Hi! How are you?
Look at this clan, looks hungry.
Smells amazing.
I'm taking one of your Filipino today.
What do you guys think, boys?
It's the best sushi.
I haven't tried.
Which one should I try first?
Oh my god!
Healing my childhood trauma.